Okay,
I
a car.
I voted for Harris, by the way.
If Donald Trump is a billionaire, and this is his belief, why did he not create the textiles in the United States, create the manufacturing plants, create the paper mills, create, the list goes on, to build his fucking Bibles and his guitars and his hats that he sells on his website? If it's that fucking easy, and he has billions of dollars, why didn't he do it?
Well, I mean,
A debate here.
Hello.
hey,
Michael,
What's up?
what's going on? Are you debating?
so I have a question for Jaden.
No thanks. Next.
Based off of the conversation I had with the last guy, what I gathered is you think it's too hard and we can't do it.
No,
Do I
that's
think
not my
it's-
position.
Too hard, and we can't.
You said we
Why
don't
is
have
that
the
showing up like
resources,
that?
we don't have the employees.
We
it'll
don't
be
have
worse
the
quality.
resources.
We don't.
We
That is
can
such a
do it.
loser attitude.
Yeah, we could do it. We can absolutely transfer that industry here. It's just what means. It would mean that more cost of living. It would mean a higher cost of living. It would mean a higher cost of material. It would mean a higher cost of labor going into
Maybe.
producing such technology here. Not a maybe. This is a definite.
Maybe.
Not maybe.
Maybe.
Would be.
No, not maybe.
Big
We
Hook,
do not
appreciate
have the
that.
parts necessary. We don't have the labor force necessary.
Appreciate the 20. Thank you. Big Hook, appreciate the 20. Thank you. It's funny because I use that same argument against Republicans, right? America, they
Your
say
biggest-
America can't do this, that, and the other all the time. The difference here is that what you're advocating for would have such hardship on our economy that we couldn't sustain it. Because you guys also are advocating people get paid poverty wages. You're not advocating people get paid more money. And
I'm
we don't
sure
have the
if
labor
you did it-
anyways.
I'm sure if you did it in a methodical, well thought out, and I'm going to
Okay.
say slow. I'm going to say slow because
All
yes,
right.
I get it. You can't just snap a finger.
Okay. All right,
Okay,
let's
well, that's
let's do
not
this
happening.
then. Okay, well that's not what Trump's advocating for, but that's what Biden's doing, but you guys didn't vote for that, so so let's do it this way, okay? A car.
I voted for Harris, by the way.
Okay, well let's say a car,
A car. Yes.
right? Okay, you're gonna build a car here. You now have to create the textiles have to be made in America, which we don't have. So we're going to have to import a lot of that, create the factories for the textiles, for the carpet, or change the type of carpet, which has happened a lot in closed economies. You're going to have to create new plastic manufacturing plants because a lot of this is made overseas because it's significantly cheaper. All of that's going to
Yes, I
cost
get
labor
that.
and money. Your
I get that,
chips.
yes.
We're going to need hundreds of billions of dollars invested in chip fab factories because we don't have the ability to produce the chips needed for this. China does. America has the know-how. We don't have the fab factories. And those factories will take 4 or 5 plus years to get going. You also
I
have the
get
steel
that.
plants, the coal, the mines that you would have to create.
Yes,
All
I
of that,
understand.
all of that
I understand
overhead
this
is going to be right. All of that overhead is going to be factored into the cost of your car. And that's just to name a few things.
But it'll also theoretically drive up wages. And I believe that
Right,
we
which
would not.
Theoretically not.
Right.
Too.
But you could
It-
drive
we-
up
I
wage.
believe
You
we
could
don't have
you
the
could
workforce.
raise you could raise wages. You could raise wages without having to create an entire manufacturing system here for shit that other countries do better and cheaper.
I don't buy that. I buy that in the short term, but I mean, to me, it's just you sound like it's too hard to do it. We shouldn't do it.
It's not that it's too hard to do, it's just a waste of time. If your goal is to create manufacturing jobs or well-paying jobs in America, raise the standard of living, raise the minimum wage, do that type of stuff. Those are all things that are within our control that are going
You're
to have minimal
artificially
impact.
forcing it, though. You're artificially
You're
doing
doing
it.
that with tariffs.
Well, I'm not talking tariffs. I'm talking about.
If we're talking about artificial enforcement, are those not part and parcel? Yes, the answer is yes, it is.
No, I don't know.
But there's
I'm,
no.
I'm
you
talking about
understand-
it.
There's no backlash, right? If you do that, there's no long-term major economic issue. People will be upset, sure, the Republicans because they don't know any better, but there's no long-term significant impact of it. But if you're talking about tariffs,
The
you're talking
long-term
about retaliatory
significant
tariffs
impact.
that could cripple the United States.
the long-term impact would be, let's bring as much back here and be less reliant on other countries who
That is not
why-
possible
don't like
across
us
the
to
board.
begin
But wait.
It-
Hold on a
I
second,
agree, it's
real
not
quick, because I want to
possible
fork on
across
that.
the board.
Why would we? Why would we? You want to bring back low-paying or manufacturing for consumer goods that we gave off to Japan like 50, 60 years ago and other countries. Why? Because it's cheaper. So we could work on things that were more significant, like renewable energy, right? We could work on renewable energy. We could create factories for that. Republicans don't want to do
When
it.
did we
That
start
would
that?
be something that's worth our time. What?
When did we start the renewable? When did we start that?
We haven't.
They've been talking about it for decades.
We have not started the process of building major factories to deal with renewable energy.
I don't know. To me, it just sounds like you think it's too hard. We shouldn't do it. It'll have short-term.
It's not
impact,
just that
but
it's too hard. It just doesn't have the benefit. That's the problem. It just does not have the benefit that you guys are saying that it has.
I think it would have a benefit.
A
I get it.
benefit,
on
would it
what?
have one that's better than us doing like... Sure, it would have a benefit. Would that benefit be better than us spending that time and resources to build a product that the rest of the world wants, like renewable energy? Renewable, like turbines? Renewable energy plants? Building that stuff? Infrastructure for our own country? These things would be better for us than adding a tariff that's not going to bring back jobs. Even if you could bring back jobs, the tariffs you would have to create would be so staggering that it would just defeat the purpose.
You're fully against the tariffs?
I am fully against blanket tariffs, yes.
Do you think he's just saying that to
No. You can do it.
stir the pot and bring proposals to the table?
What proposals?
Nope,
What
he's
is he
gonna do
leveraging?
Yeah.
He's leveraging. He's leveraging trade agreements.
With tariffs.
He's bringing people to the table. Yes. I have a question.
What is
I have a
he
question.
getting out of this? The threat of tariffs hasn't accomplished anything. In fact, Canada has already issued retaliatory tariffs on energy going into New England.
Canada has zero bargaining chips.
I just told you one. Energy.
They have
Canada
energy.
has
They have
none.
a lot of energy. They have a lot of energy.
Listen, Canada's
They have timber.
a drop in the bucket.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's one of our largest trade partners.
My question, my biggest question is, since the election to today, I voted happily. I voted happily for Harris. Since the election to today, are you more optimistic with Trump?
No.
With him
No, he's already
meeting. With him meeting with tech CEOs, with him meeting with
He doesn't know
Mexico,
what the fuck he's
and
talking about. Are you kidding me? He doesn't know what
No, I don't have any
crypto
faith in
is.
him.
He doesn't know what a semiconductor is. He doesn't know what chips are.
he doesn't need to know the specifics.
Yes, he does.
Oh yeah, he should.
doesn't.
Yeah, he should.
Or at least the
No, I don't-
Why
basics.
wouldn't he need to?
He doesn't need to be an expert in every field.
He wants
be
to get
able
rid of the
He
CHIPS
doesn't-
Act.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be an
You don't
expert.
need to know
but
what a
having
chip
like
is to get rid of the CHIPS Act.
Yes, you do. What?
No, you don't. I mean, listen.
Why would you not?
Why would you? Hold on. Why would you want to get rid of the CHIPS Act? Is the first question here.
I don't know. I don't know the specifics of it.
Right.
But
Like and he doesn't either. So that's why it's dumb.
I don't think you need to know what the details of a chip are. And,
Yes, you
how
did.
channels
Otherwise,
work.
why? Yes. Otherwise, what are you getting rid of? That's what. You absolutely need to know. Otherwise, what are you getting rid of? If you don't know what you're getting rid of, why are you getting rid of it?
Like, fuck, were you not just talking about the benefits of domestic production in the United States, and now you're saying it might be a good thing to stifle off domestic production of chips?
No, I'm not against the Chips and Science Act. I'm not saying that.
You're appealing to
speaking-
his
I'm-
ignorance, though.
I'm speaking more broadly.
Stupidly is what you're speaking.
I'm not speaking.
You're saying there's
I'm
no
saying he's
issue
being-
with being ignorant on a subject that is as critical and pertinent to our economy and tech.
Correct.
than chips.
Correct.
No,
Correct.
fuck, dumbass, no.
Listen, if
You
you
can't
can move,
disregard the importance of chip manufacturing and semiconductors.
listen, you have the pawns move around the board. Let the king make the big moves.
No, he doesn't know
is-
what he's doing. The emperor has no clues.
He has control of the pawns.
No, he doesn't.
What does that mean? He doesn't know what the CHIPS Act is, dude. He has no idea what it is. Like, could you watch? For instance, he said that it was a terrible. Hold on a second. He said it was a terrible deal for America. Can you tell
Why
me
do you think
why anybody?
Why do
hold
you
on,
think he
why
doesn't
would
know
any?
anything
What
about
would
it?
what would be the only? Because he's dumb. Because he's prophetically stupid, and I'm using prophetically.
He's
It's a
not
new word
dumb.
I'm using because I like it. It sounds right. Yes, he's stupid. He's absolutely stupid. And I'll prove it to you. If you could tell me one reason, one single reason why the CHIPS Act is a bad thing for America, by all means. By all means.
I don't know the specifics of it. I don't even know the broads of it.
The specifics are, I'll tell you, it literally helps America manufacture. It helps America manufacture semiconductors in the United States. It creates foundries. It helps them get off the ground. It looks into mining exploration. It grants money to companies that want to do mining and stuff like that, and for exploration, et cetera, et cetera. And it allows us to source our computer chips in the United States.
And why is Trump against it?
Because he
That's what I'm
doesn't
asking you.
know what the fuck it
what is a
No, that's not
single
an answer.
reason?
That's not an answer.
What is a single?
an
That is
answer.
an answer. What is a single reason? What is a single reason? One reason why this is a bad thing. It creates manufacturing jobs in the United States. It makes us less reliant on the Pacific for getting our chips. What's the negative?
I don't know.
Right, there
I
isn't
honestly
one.
don't know.
No,
But to just call him
genuinely speaking, there isn't one. There is not a single reason the CHIPS Act
Okay,
is bad.
what is
if
his
you like
reason?
America or love America, he doesn't have one. If you like or love America, okay, you should love the CHIPS Act. If you hate China and if you support Donald Trump and his bizarro cringe raid towards Xi and China, by all means, you should love the CHIPS Act because it undermines China's strength in the region when it comes to chips. So what? There's no negative. There's none. Zero. There's no reason that this shouldn't happen. There's not a negative
Okay, I mean,
anywhere.
So I just did a quick
And in
search.
fact, it's not just there's no negative, right? It is so critically important to American security that this CHIPS Act exists that I would put it as one of the most significant bills in like the last 50 years. It is incredibly important that this happen here because if not, it's setting up for a future world war. And I'm not being hyperbolic. If America can't manufacture their own fucking ships, it's probably going to result in a full-blown, full-scale war. And so why Donald Trump will be opposed to it, I don't fucking know.
Okay, well, I mean, I just did a quick search. I guess the main one, Trump argues that the Act's allocation of substantial taxpayer funds to incentivize chip makers is misguided. So that's purely
How is it
financial.
misguided? Yeah, that explains he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. That is exactly why he doesn't know what he's talking about. Can you tell me why it would be misguided?
so this
The
is just
taxpayer.
basically saying
Hold on,
he
can you
wants
tell
to
me
use
why?
tariffs instead.
Wait, can you tell me why? Like, this is what I'm talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And anybody that has any idea what they're talking about when it comes to fab factories for chips knows that that's fucking nutso. Can you tell me why that's stupid? Why would it be a bad idea for the U.S. to fund companies to create fab factories? Why is that a bad idea? Can you tell me?
Why do we need to fund
I'll tell you
them?
the obvious response. Because fab factories are fucking insanely expensive. They're
And you're saying the private
insanely
sector can't do that?
expensive. No. And the reason they won't do it is because chip production happens so rapidly. It's what's called, there's a law. Every 2 years, processing power doubles.
Yes.
Okay? And so nobody wants to invest the money in creating chips in the United States that can't compete with cheaper chips out of Taiwan. But also, those fab factories are an incredible risk to them. A standard baseline, creating rudimentary chips. Do you know what it costs? Like starting price? $100 million for baseline chips. And you have to take those chips And then you have to be able to sell them on the global market to make them profitable, which they couldn't do. The advanced semiconductor chip factories could cost tens of billions of dollars. China has invested over $250 billion catching up to make rudimentary chips. $250
I don't
billion.
buy that private sector can't do that. I don't buy that private sector.
They won't do it. It's not that they can't do it. They won't do it. They won't do it. And I wouldn't do it.
They haven't.
If I was in their position, I wouldn't take that. If there was a market for them, they would have done it. But they're not going to spend hundreds of billions or tens of billions of dollars on something that's an unsurety. That money guarantees that those fab factories are coming to the United States. That's why he's stupid. That's like basic shit. The fab factories are too expensive to create.
From what I'm reading here, this part of this is Wall Street Journal. He's basically arguing that tariffs will have the same impact as that act.
What the fuck does that even mean?
How?
By making it more expensive to bring it in.
We're not talking about. We're talking about being able to sell chips on a global scale, not just to America. If you were to sell chips just to America, you wouldn't make money. Taiwan makes advanced semiconductor chips that they sell. They sell their chips around the world. Intel sells their chips around the world.
I apologize. I mean,
this
I was
is
only
so
speaking
critically
in terms
important.
of America.
Right, but nobody is going to put hundreds of billions of dollars or tens of billions of dollars into fab factories that may never produce a profit. That's a loss for them.
So this has been going. So this Chips and Science Act was in 2022. $280 billion.
Yeah.
So we're over 2 years.
Yes.
Has anything come of this?
Yes. In Arizona,
What?
they're already producing chips like 3 or 4 years ahead of schedule.
In Arizona,
It's so
it
bizarre
is
to me
over
how
10 years, by the
pessimistic
way.
you are. How pessimistic you are now about domestic production as you were just advocating for blanket tariffs.
I'm optimistic about domestic production.
And it is
And
weird
why
how
are you
you're
in favor. Right.
I'm not in
yeah,
favor.
I'm trying to
he's
play
like,
both sides
he's
of
like,
the
we're
coin
going to
here.
create jobs here. We're going to create jobs
Well,
here,
no,
but also we
I was
can't fucking
asked
do it
why.
with money.
I was asked the reason why Trump would be against.
Even if
I just
it were
answered
true,
Tommy's question.
Even
That
if
was
what
my
he
only
were
thing.
saying even if what he was saying was true, this is too important. I don't like the crazy government spending when it comes to the military or shit like that. But for him to be like, oh, the taxpayers got whatever money, he gave away $70 billion to the defense industry. Like, just like that. The Pentagon wasn't even asking for it. In fact, they told him they could cut money from it. He gave $70 billion to the defense industry. So $260 billion, by the way, which is less than China's spent, because China spent, like this is as of a few years ago, $250 billion. They're spending more. They're catching up. They're catching up rapidly. They're not that far out from consumer-grade chips out of Taiwan. 2 to 3 years. So this is important.
First
this
article
is
that comes
incredibly
up.
important.
The first article that
Maybe you
comes
should
up.
read the article.
This is an article about its $40 billion
before
chip.
we just, I mean, if it's the first article that comes up, for one, that's confirmation bias, but two, you haven't even read it.
I'm just no. You brought up the Arizona chip factory. The
Big
first
hook,
article that
appreciate
comes
it,
up
thank you.
is,
Big hook,
is
appreciate it.
$40 billion chip project in Arizona faces a further delay.
Yeah, because this yes, because fab factories are expensive. You're going to tell me that a company is going to take $40 billion to build an advanced semiconductor factory and they're not going to run into problems? Yes. You're going to tell me that a company is going to take on that
I
risk
think you'd
of
have less
$40
problems.
billion? Less
I
problems
think you'd have
how?
less problems. I think you'd have less problems when you're dealing with private money. When
Less
your
problems how? What
paycheck-
problems?
When
What problems?
your
They were
wallet-
ahead of schedule.
when your wallet as the CEO is on the line, you're going
What
to be
date is that
a
article?
lot.
What date is that article?
January.
Wow.
Almost a year.
Here's October. TSMC's Arizona chip production yields surpass Taiwan's in win for U.S. push. Production yields in Arizona are 4% higher.
Yeah, I saw that. That's what I remember that. I was trying to remember what month it came out, but yeah, I remember that.
I don't know. I don't think the government throwing money at things is.
Why are you arguing? What do you mean?
That's your fucking argument.
You're holy shit. So hold on. You're going to tell me that we're going to move all of this fucking production back to the United States, and you're relying on private equity to say we're going to do that. In the event of chips, it took $200+ billion from the United States government before they would even attempt it. And you're going to tell me that you're going to bring back trillions of dollars in manufacturing capacity into the United States, right? In terms of rebuilding manufacturing plants with people we don't fucking have and with resources we don't have, like starting from scratch. You're telling me private equity is going to take on that risk? Because
I get what you're saying.
It took 50 years for the chip companies to do it. And that was just with chips.
I get what you're saying.
I'm not sure you do.
So if Donald Trump's a billionaire,
do.
why hasn't he
I was-
invested?
I
If
was-
Donald Trump is hold on a second. If Donald Trump is a billionaire, and this is his belief, why did he not create the textiles in the United States, create the manufacturing plants, create the paper mills, create the list goes on to build his fucking Bibles and his guitars and his hats that he sells on his website? If it's that fucking easy, and he has billions of dollars, why didn't he do it?
Well, I mean, he's not that rich.
And
He's
you
not
think
that
other
rich.
private equity firms? I don't know. He has billions of dollars and access to billionaires all over the place.
He
Couldn't
he's
convince
worth
his friends to
billions.
do it. He couldn't convince his friends to do it. How is he going to convince anyone else?
Listen, I understand that there's things you want to build here and there's things that you can't build here. It might not be necessary to start creating our own paper or textiles.
That's what he's advocating for. He wants to shift the entire United States economy. We have people that work right now across the United States, and he wants to somehow shift that economy into being a manufacturing economy again because he thinks that's what's going to bring back jobs to America, not creating new manufacturing jobs. There's a reason people produce. There's a reason that countries produce out of China, or that companies produce out of China and Taiwan and the Philippines and Vietnam. Labor's cheaper, but also those countries, that's all they fucking do. They manufacture.
Yes, I get it.
They've
They have
invested
expertise
a lot of
in some
money and
things.
resources in manufacturing. Why? Because we allowed them to do it, so we could go on to do other things.
Yeah. Well,
Isaiah, appreciate the tip over on YouTube. Thank you, Isaiah. And Big Hook, appreciate it. Thank you.
like I said, I am a proud Harris supporter. I am more optimistic over the last few weeks, though. Even liberal media is having a hard time picking him apart right now, with him meeting or talking about meeting with Zelensky, meeting with Putin, meeting with social media CEOs.
Yeah, I could pick him apart. Yeah, I could pick him apart. He didn't end the war in Ukraine. He lied. He also said he couldn't bring down grocery prices. He's lied about numerous different stuff. He couldn't guarantee that tariffs are going to lower prices.
Can we agree?
And his
Can we
cabinet
agree?
picks have certainly earned some scrutiny. He just
His
announced
cabinet
Herschel
picks-
Walker is going to be ambassador to the Bahamas.
Yes. His cabinet picks are a little questionable.
I'm Herschel
Not a
Walker,
little.
and I love being an ambassador in Europe.
I mean, now that Gates is out, I mean, I don't know. Who's your biggest complaint?
Walker,
RFK.
RFK.
He said,
don't have a
he
problem
said,
with
he
RFK.
said, he said Herschel Walker. He was going to give him access to missile defense in the United States. Do you remember that? Pete Hegseth, who's not qualified.
And an alcoholic.
Why do
Yeah.
you think Pete Hegseth isn't qualified?
Because he's never worked in any sort of capacity to what they're asking him to do.
Do you think you need to?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not even a question, bro. Come on. No, that's fucking absurd. You're gonna tell me a guy's gonna run the Secretary of Defense doesn't need expertise to work in that? Are you out of your fucking mind?
Do you know who the Secretary of Defense was under Eisenhower?
I don't fucking care. Eisenhower was a fucking general of Europe. I doubt very much he needed a fucking Secretary of Defense.
President Eisenhower.
What?
Do you know who his defense secretaries
I don't
were?
fucking know. I don't know, but being that he was a 4-star general, I would probably tend to trust his judgment. Donald Trump is a
when he
loser
was
with daddy's money.
No, when he was president, I don't know which one. He had two of them. One of them was the CEO of Procter and Gamble, nothing to do with the military, and the other one was the CEO of a car manufacturer. I believe it was GM.
Are you really going to sit there and tell me? Number one, I'm pretty sure these people probably worked in the military, but you're going to sit there and tell me that the military today isn't vastly different than it was 50 fucking years ago or 80 years ago? You really going to sit there and try and tell me that?
I mean, Eisenhower was World War II. So
I don't know what the fuck
Eisenhower
that
was in the
He
middle
wasn't
of the
perfect
war.
either.
I'm just saying,
Korean
there's
War,
a
perhaps.
But I mean,
there's a
you're going
past
to sit
of
there and tell me there's a past of
There
what?
is
We
precedence.
don't do that shit anymore.
there is precedence. There is precedence of not having someone like Milley every term.
Okay, but there's
Yeah,
a
when
reason
we
why we
didn't
don't
have-
do that.
when we didn't
And
have
haven't
nuclear
done that
weapons.
since the 1950s.
Well, I mean, a wartime president in World War II believed that. My guess is he believed that he was a good operator of people, a management of duties. I get it. He's not. He's
Yeah, I
never
think he
been
was
on
a
the
bad
front
pick.
lines. He's never. I mean, the outcome of the war was pretty good.
Anyway, I don't even know.
He
how
didn't
much of is
oversee
true.
that
If
war.
you're debating, hop in the box.
What do you mean he didn't oversee that?
I just want to point out Eisenhower
His
didn't need a
Secretary
fucking
of
Secretary
Defense
of
was
Defense.
not over World War II.
Eisenhower didn't need a fucking Secretary of Defense. Okay, let's be real. Eisenhower was the fucking general of Europe. He was the commanding general overseeing Europe. He didn't need anybody to fucking. He knew. You're gonna tell me that that's the same thing as just a fucking criminal rapist that like bankrupt 6 businesses, that he has the judgment, the foresight? And I just want to point out, we also used to smoke on airplanes. That doesn't happen either.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Can we agree that?
But by the way,
Trump-
Pete Hegseth couldn't even run a company with $30 million. Like $30 million in revenue. I just want to point that out. He couldn't even run it. He was fired from that job.
Can we agree that Trump
You're
on the campaign trail
probably not.
is
I'm not going to
Is-
offer him any concessions. So whatever you're asking, no.
no this? Can we
No,
agree that
he
he
was the worst
speaks?
candidate.
No, listen.
He didn't speak
Can we
for
agree?
anyone but billionaires.
Can we agree that
No!
he speaks extremely
Extremely stupidly.
in hyperbole?
Extremely rudimentary. I can agree to that.
Yeah, he's
Rudimentary
stupid.
is
Yeah,
fine.
vacuous,
Yeah.
stupid.
Okay, but can we agree he's extremely
Sure.
hyperbolic?
Yeah, and I think that's bad.
I agree it's bad, but can we also agree that he has toned it down since
No.
election?
No, he hasn't. He's calling
don't-
Trudeau the governor of Canada.
Can
Well,
I
I
read
mean,
you what he said
no, I
about
mean-
Juan Merchan today?
I mean, I'm talking like on his immigration stance.
That too hasn't toned down.
Yes, it has.
No, it hasn't. Look at
No,
the
he
people
said-
he's picked.
He has focused recently on focusing on criminals.
There are not
think-
1
So he's
million
deporting-
undocumented criminals
Is-
in the United States. He wants to deport
Is he
as at least that many annually.
Is he deporting himself?
My point is he was extremely hyperbolic, but I believe that he has toned it back. And I think that the reason he was hyperbolic is because the majority of his supporters thrive on that visceral reaction and are just stupid and fall for it.
So he's a
But-
reactionary.